And so he told the story when he was the bishop in town. He went to the stake president and explained this welfare issue that he had, and it was needed like $2,000 or something. And if it was over 1,000, you had to get the stake president's approval. And so he went and explained the situation to the stake president. And the stake president said, "No, we're not gonna. We can't take that money out of fast offering funds. I mean, it's a worthy cause. The person should be helped, but I just don't feel right about taking it out of fast offering funds." So the bishop said, "Well, what am I going to do then?" He said, "Well, who told you being a bishop was free?"
Point taken.
So yeah, so then, when I was, about the Nigerian lady that joined the church?
No.
Yeah. So this lady came over from Nigeria. Her husband wanted to be a minister in Nigeria, and they came to study at the Fuller Theological Seminary in Pasadena. And she had 5 children, 1 boy and 4 girls. And he was abusive, and of course in Nigeria, she was his property, right? So when they got to the United States, after a few months, she'd had enough, and so she took her kids and went to a halfway house and then, tried to get away from him. And, the halfway house had some attorneys who worked pro bono and so forth and so on. So, got a restraining order and helped her in all kinds of ways. But then she ended up in an apartment in La Crescenta and went to a PTA meeting, and a woman from my ward saw this black woman sitting at this PTA meeting and went over and befriended her and started talking to her and so forth and so on. And in the court, without the member bringing it up, the woman said, "I'm looking for a church. I'm very religious. I don't know, some Christian church in Nigeria, but I'm looking for a church to attend." And the friend says, "Well, I got just the place," and brought her to church, and within a few weeks, she got baptized, and the children who were old enough got baptized. So she was working as a in-home nursing care, go travel around to.
Mm-hmm.
But then the divorce was finalized, and in the divorce it said that he would get the visitation. He would get the children every other weekend. So he came and picked the children up one weekend, and on Monday he didn't bring them back, and found out he had taken the children back to Nigeria. So now she comes to me and says,
I want my children back.
I got to go to Nigeria and get my children. Oh, okay. How do you handle that one, right? Fortunately, we had a travel agent in the ward. And so I went to him and said, "What would it take to get her to Nigeria?" $6,000. So a call, we had a guy in La Cañada First Ward that we had served on the High Council together. He was an FBI in the Los Angeles office. But he had, I don't know if you remember this, the LA office of the FBI, a lot of people complained about that there were too many Mormons in that office, and that they were giving, they were promoting their friends and so forth. And so there was kind of a scandal. The top guy was LDS and so forth. So as a result of that, my friend left the FBI and went to work for church security in Salt Lake. So I knew he was there. So I call him up and I explain, I've got this woman joined the church. Children have been kidnapped, and I gotta help her get them back. But I don't want to do anything that's gonna, cause some global, international scandal or something like that. So what am I allowed to do? What I'm not allowed to do, and so forth. And he gave me some counsel, and he said, "What country are we talking about?" And I said, "Nigeria." And he went, "Oh my God." He said, "We just had a member shot in the airport last week who fell for one of these, bring us $10,000 and we'll give you 2 million kinds of scams." So, of course, I go to the state president. No. Well, and the guy from Salt Lake says, you can't use any church funds to help her. Because, again, in Nigeria, she's his property, and anything to help her take the kids back would just be international problem. So
Yeah, legal mess.
But, Bishop Frost, I need to go get my children. So, $12,000 to get her both ways, and there's, almost no possibility she's going to get the kids. So it's just futile, it seems like. Probably, in fact, she's going to get over there and just stay, because that's where her children are, and just live the way she lived before she came to the United States. But anyway, we get her over there, and it turns out the oldest male in her tribe meets with the oldest male in his tribe and try to work this all out. And finally they decide that she can bring the 3 youngest children home, and he will keep the 2 oldest children in Nigeria. So she does. They come home. They all have malaria. So,
How did you get the money? How did you get the money to get the trip?
Just took it out of my pocket.
Oh, out of your pocket. Okay.
And so we get him back, and but now he still has friends in Pasadena. Of course, when they came over, there's Nigerian people, and
Right, they all congregate.
hang together. And so now she tells her employer what's happened, and they fire her because they don't want any violence against their patients from his friends. So now she's cleaning houses or doing something, trying to get by. So of course we got to support her food orders and all that, get her kids healthy again and so forth. And then the other 2 kids show up. Go,
What?
How did Angela and Paul get back here, So it turns out that one of her brothers, Timothy, he just went to Angela. Angela was the oldest, so he goes to Angela's school, goes to the door of her classroom. She comes over and he says, "I'm going to the United States. If if you want to come with me and be with your mom, or you can stay here and be with your dad. But you have to decide right now."
Wow.
And she says, "Well, I'll go with you and go be with mom." So then he drives over to Paul's school. "You want to go with me? You want to stay here? You got to decide right now." And Paul says, I want to go with my mom." So he goes to the U.S. Embassy in Nigeria there. And Dad finds out what Timothy has done. So they have a military escort from the embassy to the airplane. And Dad and his buddies are in the airport, but can't do anything because of the escort. Put them on a plane and come back. And so Timothy's now with them. So now we got to take care of Timothy. And